Qin Dynasty, the first dynasty of Imperial China. The Qin Dynasty was Imperial China's first dynasty and grew from its origins as a state of Qin. The dynasty emerged in 221 BC after overthrowing its 6 rival states in a move that unified China. While a successful dynasty for its achievements, its duration of just 15 years makes it the shortest major dynasty in Chinese history. Despite the short time frame of the Qin dynasty, it is known for its legacy of strategies in military and administrative affairs that largely went on to shape the following dynasty, that of Han. It became the originator of the imperial system that existed in China until the Xinhai Revolution of 1911-12. The Qin sought a unified state through a structured, centralized political and military regime that was supported by having a stable economy. The central government gave power to its people by undercutting the power of aristocrats and landowners through major projects such as the connection of defensive walls along its northern borders. This wall eventually developed into the Great Wall of China. Other major projects included a national system of roads, the city-sized mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, the first Qin emperor, and is being guarded by the life-size warriors of the famous Terracotta Army. Reforms introduced by the Qin included the introduction of a standardized currency, weights and measures, as well as a uniform system of writing. Its military used the latest technology and weapons available at that time, as well as the most up-to-date transportation and tactics. Some negative aspects were that the government was somewhat heavy-handed and overly bureaucratic, with a system that increased the power of the government while administering its people, although it can be argued that this system had a profound impact on East Asia. And for that reason, it makes the rise of the Qin dynasty an important one in the region's history. When Qin Shi Huang died suddenly in 210 BC, 2 advisors placed an heir on the throne in the form of the former emperor's son, Hai, who adopted the name Qin Shi. These advisors, instead of offering their influence and control of the administration, squabbled amongst themselves, which eventually led to their deaths and that of the second emperor. A revolt broke out, and the weakened empire soon fell to a former Chu general, Xiang Yu, who was then proclaimed the hegemon king of Western Chu, together with Liu Bang, the founders of the Han dynasty. Historians such as Han Confucians claim the Qin dynasty was a monolithic legalist tyranny and cite a purge known as the burning of the books and burying of scholars, although other historians of that time dispute those claims. History of Qin. The Qin dynasty was declared by King Zheng in 221 BC when the state of Qin annexed its final rival state to achieve the unification of China. As Qin Shi Huangdi, or first emperor, he solidified his position of power by becoming its sole ruler when the former prime minister Liu Buwei resigned. One of his first orders was that all weapons not in the possession of Qin were to be confiscated and melted down. The resulting metal was then used to create 12 large ornamental statues at the new capital of the Qin dynasty, Xianyang. Southward expansion. The northern boundaries were secured by 214 BC with an army of around 100,000 soldiers. The majority of the Qin army, around 500,000 men, were sent to the south to first conquer, then secure the territory of the southern tribes. Much of what is today's Sichuan province had been secured by the Qin prior to the formation of its dynasty. And despite heavy losses in fighting, guerrilla warfare, the Qin had successfully built a canal which was used to resupply and reinforce those armies sent south. Through its prior experience in the unfamiliar territory, the southern lands of today's Guangdong and Fujian were soon acquired. There is even a possibility they may have travelled as far south as today's Hanoi in Vietnam. Prisoners and exiles were moved south to colonize the new territories. Campaigns against the Xiongnu. The lands to the north, however, were proving to be more problematic, with newly taken lands often being retaken by the tribes collectively known as the Hu. The Hu were free of Chinese rule during the majority of the Qin dynasty and were prohibited from trading with Qin dynasty peasants. The Xiongnu tribe lived in the Ordos region and often raided Qin lands, which prompted retaliation from the Qin. It was not until 215 BC before the region was conquered and the land could be safely farmed. Once agriculture was implemented on this land, the peasants were not content and later revolted. The later Han Dynasty also expanded agriculture into this region, but due to overpopulation, the land resources were soon depleted. This was a problem in several border regions of the Qin dynasty. Fall from power. There were 3 assassination attempts made on Qin Shi Huang. These led to his becoming paranoid and obsessed with his immortality. He died in 210 BC while on a trip to the eastern areas of his empire, while seeking an elixir of immortality from Taoist magicians who claimed the elixir was located on an island guarded by a sea monster. The news of the first emperor's death was hidden by his prime minister Li Si and his chief eunuch Zhao Gao until the most pliable son Xinhai could be instilled as emperor. On taking the title Qin Shi, the 2 advisors believed they could manipulate the new emperor to effectively control the empire themselves. Qin Shi was inept. He executed many ministers and imperial princes, including his 19 brothers, while ordering massive building projects, including lacquering the city walls. He also enlarged the army, increased taxes, and arrested any messengers who brought him bad news. As a result, people across China began to revolt, attacking ministers, raising private armies, and declaring themselves as leaders of seized territories. Li Si and Zhao Gao had disagreements, and Li Si was executed, while Zhao Gao managed to convince Qin Shi to take his own life due to his incompetence. Upon this act, Zi Ying, a nephew of the second emperor, ascended to the role of emperor, and one of his first acts was to have Zhao Gao executed. Seeing the increasing unrest among his people, Zi Ying, in an attempt to cling onto power, declared he was a king among all the other kings. However, he was another victim of his own making, and a popular revolt broke out in 209 BC. When Chu rebels under the leadership of Liu Bang attacked, the state of turmoil could not continue for long, and Zi Ying was defeated close to the Wei River in 207 BC. He surrendered shortly after being defeated and was executed by another leader of the Chu, Xiang Yu. The following year, the Qin capital was destroyed, and this is considered by historians to be the end of the Qin Empire. Liu Bang first betrayed, then defeated Xiang Yu and declared himself Emperor Gaozu of the Han Dynasty on the 28th of February 202 BC. Despite the short duration of the Qin dynasty, it was a very influential one regarding the structure of future dynasties. Culture and society. Domestic life. At that time, commoners and rural villagers made up over 90% of the population, and they rarely left the villages or homesteads where they were born. Farming was a universal occupation for the vast majority, and professions were hereditary, with employment passed down to the eldest son. Philosophy and literature. The written language of the Qin was known as logographic, similar to that used since the Zhou Dynasty. Prime Minister Li Shi standardized the writing system, decreeing that it should be of a uniform size and shape. This policy was conducted across the country and would remain a part of Chinese culture for more than 2 millennia. The small seal script, which served as a base for simplified Chinese, and while it has evolved, is still in use today after it was originally created by Li Shi. Penal policy. The Qin had a set of legal procedures to punish wrongdoing, particularly theft. There were also detailed rules and paperwork issued to regulate grain, weights and measures, in addition to official documents. While these procedures did not deal with all types of crime, it did include concepts such as intent, judicial procedure, the rights of defendants, requests for retrials, and the distinction between common law and statutory law. Criminals during the Qin Dynasty were sometimes given amnesties and often only punished if they committed a crime for the second time. However, the Qin sometimes expelled its criminals to its new colonies, or punishments were served through labour, fines, or demotion in rank for nobles or the aristocracy. Government and military. The government of the Qin was highly bureaucratic and was administered by a hierarchy of officials serving the first emperor, who controlled all of his territories. Everything was standardized, from measurements to language and even the length of the axles on chariots. Tasks were assigned to officials dedicated to a particular task. New laws were introduced that ended feudalism, that being replaced by centralized bureaucratic government. A supervisory system was introduced to monitor and check the powers of administrators and officials at each level of government. The form of government created by the Qin dynasty was copied by later empires for its efficiency. Despite extensive reforms during the Qin state era, Qin Shi Huang further improved the military, including the most advanced weaponry of the day. First using bronze, although later dynasties used iron and steel as these became available. The improved metals required the use of bellows in metalworking, as well as improvements in crossbow technology. Crossbows had been in use since the 5th century BC and were more accurate and powerful than the bow used by archers. Improvements in transportation included chariots being replaced by cavalry, as this was better suited to the terrain of China. Qin Shi Huang also developed plans for fortifying the northern border as protection against nomadic invaders. The walls created by feudal lords were joined together, expanded, and would later become the Great Wall of China. Another project created during the reign of the first emperor was the building of the Terracotta Army. Built to protect the emperor after his death, it was so well hidden it was only discovered in its underground location in 1974. Religion of the period. During the reign of the Qin, the dominant religious belief, as it was during much of early Imperial China, focused on the Shen, which roughly translates as spirits or gods, Yin, which translates as shadows, and the realm they were said to live within. Animal sacrifices were offered as a way to make contact with this other world, which is believed to run parallel to the earthly one, with the dead believed to simply move from one world to the other. These rituals are believed to have been followed to ensure a safe passage into the other world upon death, and remaining there upon receiving such blessings. Conclusion. Within just a few years after the death of the first emperor, the dynasty was in a precarious position through the ineptitude of Qin Shi Huang's replacements and their advisors. A series of revolts, virtual civil war, and the breakdown of law and order led to the abrupt end of the Qin Dynasty and its replacement the Han, as they began the next chapter in the history of China. That is all for this video. If you have enjoyed watching and it has shown you a little detail of life here in China, then your subscribing to my channel would mean a lot to me. Thank you for watching. Make sure you click on the link to the next video, and until the next time, goodbye for now.